We are going over the latest Detroit Lions news and rumors for you folks today. A lot to cover in this video. The contract details of Tim Patrick was released. We're going to go over the details, what it means for the Lions and this regime. We're going to get into Detroit Lions SI. They talk about players that the Lions potentially could still pick up in free agency, surprise players. We're going to go over what Christian Buer believes on that one. And it's going to talk about a secondary. Could the Lions look for secondary? As well as Mike Payton's 7-round mock draft, a couple trades in this mock draft. We'll go over it, and there's a trend we're seeing that's going to result in the draft rumors because a trend has shown, and I do believe it to be a true rumor. But let's start out with Tim Patrick here. Contract details was released. 1 year, 2.5, fully guaranteed source over the cap. Base salary 1.25, fully guaranteed signing bonus 1.245, cap hit of $2.5 million. And for what he did for the Lions last year with 33 receptions, 394, 3 touchdowns, and 11.9 average, that is a good deal for Detroit. That is a good deal for the Lions organization. It's being fiscally responsible and smart with your pockets, book, and with your wallet, and Brad Holmes in this regime understands that very well. Great contract for a number 3 receiver, and it gives the Lions flexibility going forward with more deals when you're able to save that. Why it's probably that low? He's a little bit older, right? Tim Patrick, and before he came to Detroit, he was injured for a couple years, so maybe he would like to get a better deal next year, but at least it gives him basically 2 years consecutively, if he can do it this year, to being healthy with a good organization, with a good wide receiver core, and that's a good deal for Detroit, and it's a good deal for Tim Patrick. All he's got to do is stay healthy because his production will most definitely follow because he is a good player. He's got great hands. He wants to be in Detroit, Dan Campbell type of guy. All in all, he's exactly what the Lions like. So it's a good deal for the Lions. But what do you think after seeing the contract details? Grade the signing. I got to go with A+, especially seeing the contract details. Next up, Christian Buer. SI.com talked about a couple players that could be a surprise pickup for the Detroit Lions. This is what he says. So I thought entering the week that the Lions might take a chance on Asante Samuel Jr., but the additions of Yasin and Maddox seem to indicate that the team won't be looking to add yet another cornerback. Agree. Even with Tim Patrick returning, maybe the team sees value in bringing one of the veteran receiver options still available, such as Amari Cooper or Stephon Diggs. Additionally, they could also target an edge defender, such as Matthew Judon or Preston Smith. Because Judon has Michigan roots, I could see the team looking to bring him in as an experienced option to compete for snaps opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. Wouldn't that be interesting for that to occur? Because he talked about a couple players here. One being Amari Cooper, veteran wide receiver. Now, look, they actually could potentially bring in a veteran wide receiver. We had veterans that were at the back of the depth chart of the Lions last year. They practice squad, then brought up, right? We've seen that. I don't believe, though, Amari Cooper would come to the Lions, not because the Lions may not covet him or his services. Most definitely. He has still got the ability to produce at a high level on the football field. The reason why I would have my doubts on this is simply because other teams would covet him more and probably give him more money. Now, he also talked about Stephon Diggs. Now, I don't know about Stephon Diggs in regards to financial ramifications. I'm sure he's looking to get the best that he absolutely could get. But I have a hard time believing he's a Dan Campbell type of guy. So this would be something hard for me to believe that the Lions would actually pick up. They generally stay with folks that are not combative, right? That are in line with the rest of the team. We've gotten rid of players that may not be team first. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he didn't come back. We've seen situations like that. So I think he could be a player maybe the Lions wouldn't target due to his personality. Now, they talked about former Packer Preston Smith could be an option as well to bring on this defensive line. And yeah, I guess that could be an option, right? Bring in Preston Smith. I think most notably he spoke about, and I've talked about him on the past, is getting an edge rusher, and Matthew Judon seems to be a guy that could closely be connected to what I think maybe the Lions would look at. All in all, if I look at all these guys and these players, and it's slim pickings at this point, and it's going to be difficult if you're wanting to get the higher named free agents like an Amari Cooper or Stephon Diggs. And maybe these guys are just waiting to some of these players after to the NFL draft, what team has a said need. Say a team really still has a big need at wide receiver. If these guys hold out until after the draft, maybe they can get better payday. So that is something that potentially could occur as well. Again, I would like to get that pass rusher. I would love to get a guy to come in here and compete and be a dog for this team. Sometimes dogs have clicks, and if you could do me a favor and click that like button and bring that up to 300 likes, that would be amazing. It does help the channel out. Let's continue on with this video. Christian Boer talks about a player that he believes that the Lions could target in the draft, one being Gray Zabel, offensive lineman from North Dakota State University. Now, I've talked about Zabel on this team, and he would be a selection at pick 28. That would be what it would be. If they're going Gray Zabel, that's what it would be. He says, I think that the best guard option available in the draft is Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. Zabel was a tackle for Bison, but many believe he'll be his best move his interior. He could even provide some versatility to play either off the guard spots and potentially center at a professional level. With the age becoming a factor for Detroit's offensive line, I think a player like this be an option for the Detroit Lions. And it very well could be an option for the Lions, because there is also another player that the Detroit Lions are rumored to be enamored with, and I'm going to bring you into why this would factor into Gray Zabel here a little bit. And this is coming from multiple reports out there, one being Essential Sports, but according to some reports, Dan Campbell and the Lions might be eyeing Michigan product Josaiah Stewart. This speculation started to ignite up. The young player had a couple of meetings with the franchise coaches. So, is he a good fit for the team? Is he a good fit for the team? Well, he's a little bit undersized, 6'1", 245 pounds, senior. You know, if you're watching this, a lot of Michigan fans here, right? You know who he is. 22 solo, 33 combined, 8.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He's got some good instincts to him. He's got some good traits to him. He's got some weaknesses as well. He also is a player, in my opinion, that probably would not be the 28th pick. It would be drafting potentially even out of the, maybe in the second round, maybe in the mid-second round, or even out of the second round. And that's why I talk about Gray Zabel in a minute. But if you look at his strengths, I want to just do a quick sec because he pile up impact production. He plays determined and aggressive, never gives up, builds the rush of momentum, long strides, but he is below average. And he's a 3-4 rush linebacker. We just basically had that what Derek Barnes can rush, but he lacks finesse and elusiveness, linear pursuit. And I do think that it's a legit rumor that the Lions like him because, as in the reports say, they met with him many times. Now, if you know anything about the draft, or if you've been watching this channel for a period of time, you know when Dan Campbell and this organization meets with players, they do actually like them. It's not meant to be a hide thing. They actually do like the player. They, generally speaking, from what I have noticed, it's around 50% of the players whom they meet with at the 30 visits and all of that stuff. So that they consistently meet with a player, that is obviously a big indication that they like him. But it also can be an indication my opinion, that if they like him, maybe they're looking at other options with the 28th pick. Or simply they're doing their due diligence. There could be a run of defensive players. Maybe there's a player that they covet that may not be there at the 28th pick, and that's one of their backup options. But I do believe that they like Josaiah Stewart. I believe that to be a true rumor. Now, let's get into a 7-round mock draft from Mike Payton as well, dropped on A to Z Sports. I'll cover the first couple picks, then you can do the rest and check his article out. Very good. I don't want to waste all of your time on this, though. But he does a couple of trades in the beginning. That's why I'm going to cover it here. So, and it kind of goes with the theme of what we're talking about in this video. So he has the Lions actually moving up to make a trade from 28 to 20. The Lions get pick 20th and 178. We give up the 28th pick, the 102nd pick, and a 4th-round pick in 2026 to select Jihaad Campbell, linebacker from Alabama. Now, again, he could be a player that the Lions covet. I think it's less likely, though, because of the Derek Barnes signing, but it does obviously come with pass rush. We're talking about a lot of pass rush. The Lions covet that. Maybe they wanted to get a little bit lighter. Maybe it's a little bit different. But the Lions could trade up for a player. I don't necessarily believe it'll be Jihaad Campbell. I don't believe it's going to be him. I think the Lions going other direction. But that's an interesting selection, pass rush. Next up, he's doing another trade as well. And this is going with what we just spoke about, the 78th pick and the 115th pick. And we give up the 60th pick, right, and the 2026 pick in the 7th round for who? Josaiah Stewart, edge. Why? Because we've met with him. We identified him also for Michigan. You got to look at the schools. They like Alabama. They like Michigan. Brad Holmes does. We are looking at offensive linemen as well. So you're seeing a trend, and you're going to see other commentators, writers go with this as well because we have noticed this trend. This is not something that is new to the Brad Holmes regime, right? We know kind of how they go with the Dan Campbell type of guy. But then he goes offensive lineman with the next selection. I'm not going to just go through the picks. Wide receiver. I've had Bryant on 2 mock drafts. Very much an option in the mid of this draft. Why is that? Because Tim Patrick's a 1-year deal. He's 3 years old. This could be a great option for the Lions. I had him in my mock draft. Ahmed Hassanein, edge. And it goes on here. Lineman again. Safety. Running back. That seems to be a luxury pick right there. Lions are going to make that selection at 28. They may trade up or they may trade back. I mean, we know that. We know the type of players they're going to get. But what do you guys think of this mock draft? What do you think of the trends? Give me your thoughts in the comments below. With that said, folks, adios.